Hello sailors, welcome back. So in this video what I want to have a look at is a little bit about tiller extension, the length and how to manage it a little bit. So this is sort of on the same theme as my last video, which was looking at how to manage your main sheet. If you haven't seen that, do go and check that out. And this was another request about what is the right length of a tiller extension for a laser, but it can apply to any class. And then how do you cope with a big long tiller extension? Avoid the puns. Right, so first off, why are tiller extensions so long? So if you're a beginner getting into sailing, this might be a real pain in your back, quite literally. Every time you tack, you get it stuck up your buoyancy aid. So what is the purpose of having a tiller extension that's this long? Right, so the reason why is if you're sailing along upwind in a bit of breeze, you want to be at the front of the cockpit hiking hard. That means you're going to be quite a long way away from your tiller. To steer, you want quite a long tiller extension. Now in a laser, most people have settled on, or the generally accepted optimum length is around 1.25 meters. That means you can, when you're hiking, you can still steer well, but it's not too cumbersome when you're moving around the boat. If you're sailing in waves and you really do need a lot of, you're putting a lot of steering input in, then you may even go a little bit longer than that, maybe sort of 1.30 meters, 1.35 meters. But that's for the top sailors, the pros. So sticking to 1.25 meters gives a good compromise. You can still steer well, and it's not too cumbersome when you come to moving around the boat. But you can see here, if I tried to move that tiller extension across the middle line, I've got a main sheet in the way. It's tricky. When I tack, I do have to be quite accurate, so I'm not getting my tiller extension caught in the main sheet. It happens to everyone at some point. So, pros of a long tiller extension means you can get hiking and steer well. Disadvantages is a little bit cumbersome when you're moving around your boat. You may find it a little bit harder when you're tacking, and in lighter winds, you don't really need a tiller extension that's that long. So if you are, I think your average sailor, if you sail on a reasonably big piece of water or on the sea, that's a good length tiller extension for your laser. If you're an Olympic pro, you don't need to watch this. You may go for a little bit longer. If you're someone who's less experienced, maybe you sail in a predominantly light wind venue, you sail on a little lake where you're tacking a lot, and actually speed around the boat matters more than steering when you're hiking hard, then you may go for a slightly shorter tiller extension. It's fine. There's actually no regulations in the laser how long your tiller extension is. And I think pretty much the same principles will apply for any boat you come across. Right, so that's why it is that length. What you don't want to do is get that tiller extension caught in your clothing. So first of all, select your clothing. Make sure it's not too loose and baggy. What you can do, if you have got some loose baggy kit, put a rash vest, some tight vest over the top of everything. It's going to stop the tiller extension getting caught. That will help. Right, the next thing, when you're sailing along normally, it's the tiller extension can just get used to just holding it lightly. You can just rest on your lap. If you're leaning a bit further out, you don't need to grip this tightly. Just hold it loosely. That will definitely help with your just maneuvering, handling the tiller extension. Okay, you can move the tiller extension around quite a lot. It's not going to be a problem. When you're tacking, bit of a tip, push. That isn't a big gap, but if you drop your tiller extension down low into the cockpit, that gives you a little bit more space. If you lift it up high, that gives you a little bit more space rather than in the middle. If it goes through the middle there, a lot more likely to get caught in the main sheet. So that's one tip, either low or high, and that's pretty much the same any boat you come across. If you're in a bit of a struggle getting past the bit of the main sheet, lift the hand up high, drop it down low, you're going to get a little bit more space there. And last thing is, after you've tacked, if you're swapping hands again, a few things that will help: keeping forwards, and then you can always just flip it over your shoulder. I've done another video on that, different ways to swap tiller extensions. Go and have a view of that. So get out there and practice. If you're trying to change your tacking and trying to deal with you're upgrading to a longer tiller extension, just slow everything down to begin with. You can let your sail out a little bit. Don't steer too quickly. Just give yourself a little bit more time to begin with. And then once you start to get to grips with it, then just speed your tack up a little bit. Okay, hopefully there's something in there that will help you. So tiller extension length, 1.25 meters seems to be a pretty good compromise. But if you're sailing somewhere, light winds, intermediate, don't be afraid of just going a little bit shorter. If you're sailing on the sea, maybe a fraction longer.